one more from each side. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
An idea for you. You're in a friendly crowd here, but I'd like to know what your answer is. Big thing right now is jobs. I hear politicians talk about ideals. The voters are going to want to see good ideas that come that come from those ideals. Creation of jobs. Obama's handing you a gift. He wants to put $30 billion into banks. Banks don't take risk. They make risk-free loans. That will not create jobs. How would you, if you had some power, would be able to create jobs?
Did anyone hear the question, job creation? Let's start with the first principle, okay? Government doesn't create private sector jobs. Government policies can create an environment that is not conducive to creating jobs. And government policy can create an environment that's more conducive to creating jobs. But jobs are ultimately created by people that have access to money. And they take that money, whether they borrow it, or they made it and have it in the bank, or someone who's willing to partner with them. They take money and they use it to create a new business or to expand an existing business. Okay? Now, why aren't they doing that in America right now? Because of extreme amount of uncertainty. Number one, the so-called Bush tax cuts are set to expire. Not only are they set to expire, many job creators suspect they're going to go up even higher than what's being told to them because they know this deficit has to be paid back. The second thing is we have a corporate tax rate in America at 35%, which is higher than the European average. That's 25%. Think about that. The European average is 25%. That means there's some countries in Western Europe whose corporate tax is even lower than 25%. The third thing is government is constantly churning out regulations and ideas that they know are anti-competitive. Cap and trade discourages job creation. Just to talk about it. Just to talk about government health care mandates discourages job creation. All of these things conspire together to tell job creators, look, it's not the time to invest in the American economy, and therefore jobs are not being created. And to the extent possible, they're looking to shed costs. You know, like you saw this latest numbers, how the last quarter GDP grew. Do you know why the gross domestic product grew the last quarter? Very simple. Because companies had no inventory left. They'd gotten rid of all the jobs, they'd gotten rid of all their merchandise and all their inventory, so finally they had to buy a few things. And so it's a false tick in the economy. And that's and because jobs are not. Now, what would encourage job creators? It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Number one, show that you're serious. Recognize, look, we have a very serious debt problem in America.
Yes.
We're going to have debt in this nation as a percentage of our gross domestic product that's unparalleled. We don't know what happens to a country whose debt equals their gross domestic product. We don't know what happens to an economy whose debt is larger than their entire economy. We don't know what happens when a country does that, but we're pretty sure it's not good. Okay? The first thing is you have to tell people, look, we understand we've got a serious ticking time bomb on our hands, and we are going to take serious steps to begin to reduce that. And that, quite frankly, means things like entitlement reform. People of my generation need to be told, frankly, you won't have Social Security. Okay? You won't have Medicare if you don't make transformational changes to that system in your lifetime. There won't be such a thing. In fact, it'll bankrupt itself and ultimately our country. Now, folks who are already on the system or about to go into the system, they've got a contract that has to be honored. But the people of my generation need to be told, frankly, that they are not going to have. These programs are not going to exist for them if changes are not made. So you've got to get serious about the debt problem. The second thing you have to do is look at the American tax code. Right now, if tomorrow, I'm telling you, I am confident in telling you this. If tomorrow the Obama administration announced, we are making the Bush tax cuts permanent, if they just did that, you would see economic growth just based on that. Not just because the rates are lower, but because people know what they are. People are going to know what the rates are. You understand that if you die today, I can't tell you what happens to your estate. Right now, the debt tax is 0, but they're talking about reinstating it at 55% retroactive, and next year we know it becomes retroactive. It's the first time in American history where suicide has been a tax planning option. That's how crazy it is. So, we talk about the corporate tax and lowering it. How about the capital gains tax? Every time that the capital gains tax has been lowered, for the most part, it has generated positive economic growth in America. In fact, more revenue for government. What about accelerated depreciation? That's more complicated, but basically it would encourage businesses, big and small, to go out and buy, maybe this is the year to buy the new computers, or the new factory equipment, or to invest in new capital infrastructure for our company. You don't think that would have a positive growth in our economy? All of these are simple concepts. And then once those are in place, we should talk about things like tax simplification. I've always supported the fair tax. I continue to believe flattening of our tax code that people can easily comply with would be a dramatic step forward, and that would be the second part of this. This is what I mean by offering an alternative. Alternatives that the American people understand. Alternatives that job creators will look at and say, okay, now's the time to get going again. Look, presidents and U.S. senators don't create jobs. You create jobs. And you can only create jobs if government provides you an environment where it makes sense to create jobs.